But let's get to the final headliner topic on this edition of the Rock News Roundup Podcast, and that is, what is up with the Foo Fighters and breaking limbs? Because you might remember back in 2015, Dave Grohl broke his leg after falling off stage. It was a very, very scary thing that happened, but he finished the tour, that 2015 Foo Fighters tour, sitting on a throne. So the guy broke his leg, but nothing could keep him from keeping performing with the Foo Fighters. I think when he broke his leg, he still finished the entire show with the paramedic holding his leg in place while he sang and played guitar while sitting in a chair. And then obviously when they went on to do the tour, he had the big throne with the guitars on the side of it and everything. Well, now it turns out that Pat Smear, the third guitarist for the Foo Fighters, is going to be missing some upcoming Foo Fighters shows after breaking his foot in a quote-unquote bizarre gardening accident. I don't know exactly what that means, whether that's the actual truth or they're just coming up with stuff just to make us feel okay about Pat missing his shows. But Pat Smear from the Foo Fighters is going to be missing some upcoming shows. Foo Fighters are gearing to get back out on the road in 2026. So he's going to be missing their benefit show coming up in LA. I believe that's coming up this month or next month. He's going to be missing their shows in Australia and Mexico, and he's going to be replaced by Jason Faulkner, who's somebody who's worked with a lot of different artists over the years, including St. Vincent, Beck. He's worked with Noel Gallagher, so he's one of those go-to guys that can come in and fill in for Pat Smear. I don't really know how you fill in for Pat Smear because you have Dave Grohl on guitar, you got Chris Shiflett on guitar, you got Pat Smear. Well, I feel like Pat Smear really just brings the noise with his guitar. He brings those power chords, he brings his energy. He's such a huge part of the sound and the aesthetic of the Foo Fighters. So Jason Faulkner is probably going to have some hard shoes to fill. Literally, because Pat Smear broke his foot. Hard shoes to fill when they go out and they do this tour. And so people are asking, though, why is Pat Smear missing this tour? When Dave Grohl went out and broke his leg back a bunch of years ago, a decade ago, he went out on a throne and continued the tour no matter what. And to that I say, with Dave Grohl, you can't really have a Foo Fighters show without Dave Grohl. In order to go see the Foo Fighters, you have to have Dave Grohl out front on the microphone, throne or not. But with Pat Smear, I feel like they can get through these shows without Pat Smear. They can let him go and rest his leg, and then Dave Grohl can, keep going out there and rocking crowds. And I have a feeling it'll be a quick recovery. At least we hope it'll be a quick recovery for Pat Smear. They can't go out and tour as the Foo Fighters without Dave, but Pat Smear, as essential as he is to the Foo Fighters lineup, I feel like he can go take a rest for a little bit, heal up his foot, and then get back on the road with the Foo Fighters. But you know what? He better heal up soon because the band, again, has a very, very busy tour schedule for 2026. I know we're still hoping that the new album is out this year at some point. They released 2 new songs last year, Today's Song and Asking for a Friend. So everybody's hoping that a new Foo Fighters album is going to be coming out in 2026. But more importantly, they are hitting the road this year, making up for some of the places that they didn't really hit on the last tour for their last album. But here we are. So they're going to the UK, they're going to Europe, they're going to North America. They're going to be playing in Toronto at Rogers Stadium, the same place that Oasis played last summer on August the 4th. And so the band is hitting the stops that they missed on the But Here We Are tour. So 2026 is really gearing up to be a great year for the Foo Fighters. And again, we're hoping that a new album comes out in 2026. We got those 2 new songs last year. I didn't really love the 2 new songs. I didn't even think they were as good as the stuff that we heard on But Here We Are. But again, a new Foo Fighters album is always something that I'm going to be really, really excited for. And it's funny because talking about Dave Grohl breaking his leg back in 2015, I saw the Foo Fighters on that tour. They played, I think that was the last time I don't think it's the last time they played Toronto. Probably wrong. They probably played it on the Concrete and Gold and Medicine at Midnight tours, but I saw them on the tour. I think believe it's for Sonic Highways back in 2015. So I saw Dave Grohl on the throne on that tour. He was sitting on the throne. It was crazy. He even lended it to Axl Rose for their tour. Crazy looking throne. I love that show. I love the Foo Fighters, but I have to say that when Dave Grohl was sitting on that throne for that Toronto show, it was a very, very long-winded show. Dave talked a lot in between songs on that show, even though we know he talks a lot as it is. He talked a lot on that show, and every song, I don't know if this is a virtue of him being injured or whatever, but every song turned into an extended jam on pretty much every Foo Fighters song. If they played My Hero, there was an extended jam in the middle. If they played Everlong, extended jam in the middle. If they played Big Me, somehow an extended jam in the middle. So as much as it was cool to see Dave Grohl still being able to command the band while he was sitting on that throne, it was a tough gig to get through. And I think I actually left a little bit early just because it was so long. It was like over 3 hours long and everything was just so long-winded. So maybe the Foo Fighters being injured isn't the best for their overall show, but the Foo Fighters are going to keep trucking along while Pat Smear works on healing his foot and gets back out there with the band for their 2026 tour dates, of which there are a lot, and then hopefully a brand new Foo Fighters album coming out in 2026. So we hope that Pat heals up very soon, and we look forward to seeing the Foo Fighters on the road. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think about Pat Smear breaking his foot in a bizarre gardening accident? Is that even true, or does something else much weirder happen? They're just telling us it's a bizarre gardening accident. I also love the post that they put up on their social media announcing that Pat had injured himself. But you know what? We're glad that Pat is doing okay. We hope he heals up real soon and gets back out on the road with the Foo Fighters. And we're very much looking forward to having more Foo Fighters on the road and in the studio in 2026.